So I want to throw in a little disclaimer at the beginning. If you have not played Arcane Odyssey before, go play it before you watch this video. Especially if you've never maxed out a slot or you've never done a lot of side stuff before, this video is not for you. This video is for the people that have spent over 50 hours on at least one slot and have started to notice that there's not a lot to do after that point. But up until then, I'd say the first time that you play this game, it's pretty fun. So please, if you have not played this game before, do play it. Arcane Odyssey is going nowhere. And if you've been in the community as long as I have, or at least relatively as long as I have, you probably have the exact same feeling about this game. Now, full release was supposed to be a big update that introduced a lot of new content and brought a lot of new players to the game, as well as keep a lot of old players continuing playing. But a lot of the stuff that they've added in is just more useless garbage. A lot of it's just building your character to do absolutely nothing. So in this video, I'm going to cover probably 5 different sections that VTEX needs to focus on with the game going forward. Alright, so our first category is what I like to describe as main progression, and that's going to be the levels, the story, and pretty much just islands, passive building power, and progression through seas. So in the past 3 years, we've gotten half a sea, 50 levels, and a bunch of side content, which means that we are currently at 1/6 of our planned max level, because the planned max level is level 1000, and because there's going to be 7 seas total, and we've gotten 125 levels, and it looks like we're about to get 125 more from Nimbus Sea, we are most likely going to end up at about level 1000. So we have gone absolutely nowhere in terms of levels with the past 3 years, which makes pretty much no sense considering that most of the problems with game balancing comes from the constant level changes. Every time that VTEX tries to introduce new content, it always has to get balanced out, but on top of that, every time he introduces a new max level, he has to balance out even more stuff. For example, this update caused a large-scale change in the meta, especially between mages and full builds just in general. They got a lot more stuff, especially berserkers and warriors that now have access to ultimate arts. But on top of this, a lot of hybrid builds also have ultimate arts, especially if you're a mage. You can use your ultimate art blast, and if you're a paladin, that means that you have an imbue with an ultimate art. And if you are a warlord, a lot of the warlord weapons got access to ultimate arts. So even just changing the level cap by 35 levels has caused a very big change. Along with the addition of a lot of new lost scrolls and spells, PvP has become pretty much not fun anymore, as it is not very balanced. And to be fair, it is update season, so it's more likely to get balanced between this update and the next. But even now, we can see the problem with updating the levels at such a small pace that everything is pretty much interconnected. If you are seeing this, that means I have officially given up on Arcane Odyssey. Now, if you don't know what just happened about a minute ago, VTEX decided it was, or not VTEX, Muchez decided it was a great idea to turn all the weapon stats on mixed weapons to 65% requirement in both stats compared to just 50%. So now, literally every warlord and every savant is even further behind the curve. Originally, I was planning to make this video a very highly edited video, but at this point I can't even be bothered. I mean, it's so clear that the devs do not listen to their community, so the rest of this is pretty much just going to be a rant video. Now, if you don't already know this, VTEX had originally planned to give people access to mutations and lost magics and ancient magics, and he told the community he was going to do this a while ago, but you know, about 7 years ago, Arcane Odyssey got disassembled, so there was a big thing between him and his community where he said, I'm probably not going to continue the Arcane universe, and then he did end up continuing it. And so a lot of people eventually started asking him, well, where's all this stuff that you promised us in the future, right? Well, apparently, instead of giving us any actual content like Arcanium weapons and lost magics, he decides every update to just tease us with more bosses and more NPCs that have either Arcanium weapons or lost magics. So there's no point in even looking forward in the game because he very clearly does not care about the community using this stuff, since he himself just gets access to it whenever he wants since he's a developer, and all these magics that people have wanted are usable by players. Gravity magic is usable, Aether magic is usable, Flare magic is usable. Even Aether Lightning, which is a very new magic, is usable by players. And why does this matter? Well, it means that Vtex can just send himself to whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and just use the magics. So he has no reason to even think about considering the people in his community and what they're going to use. And, I mean, that was very apparent with how he's been dealing with the dev team recently. But even on top of that, I mean, the Lance of Loyalty, which I've been using since release as Savant, level 140, was pretty much the best time for it outside of just before this update, has no skills I can use on it because it is so incredibly high with the stat point requirements that there's no point in even bothering. I was originally going to make this video a little bit longer, but I honestly don't think I can. I mean, a lot of the bugs and the problems I've had with VTEX are still around, and I don't feel like editing this video anymore because it's very clear how little the dev team actually plays their game. Since they would, even if they just played for a little bit, they'd know that changing a stat point requirement from 50% in both to 65 is actually more like a 30% stat point increase overall. So warlords and savants that use mostly weapons and strength, which I guess there's a few builds outside of this, maybe like 100 strength, 100 magic, 100 spirit, and 50 weapons, if you want to run that, are still viable. But he's cutting out playstyles that people want to use. I mean, it's very clear that people were looking forward to having imbues on strength weapons this update, and if it was that much of a problem, he could have just nerfed it. He could have just nerfed the way imbues work. He didn't have to make the stat point requirements change, because not only does this not really change anything, seeing as in the future, savants and warlords are going to get access to this anyway with the future stat point caps, but it's just another band-aid fix. It literally changes nothing to the game. It gives nothing. It makes the game just less playable if you decide that you want to invest in two specific stats that are already bad without, you know, their weapons. And, I mean, full mages, full berserkers, full warriors, even full oracles get access to more stuff than warlords do. And warlords are supposed to have access to a similar amount of stuff because they have strength weapons. And let's not even talk about conjurer, that's just getting left behind. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I personally think that spirit was a mistake, and a lot of the spirit weapons, if you look at them, are pretty much just what conjurer's arcanium weapons should have been. But, I mean, there's no point. I'm not even going to bother finishing this video and fully editing it at this point. I've given up. I don't think I'm going to bother playing this game again unless some substantial change happens within the dev team. And, I mean, it's crazy. I'm 84,000 Robux down. I'm still top 11 on a donor board because I thought this game was going somewhere. I thought that the developers might actually care about their community and not take away content that they literally gave us access to this update just because people were complaining about game balance, which is a crazy thing to do and shows just how little you actually play the game. But, yeah, there's no point. We're not getting access to any of the future stuff. I mean, mutations apparently have no access for anybody that's not a full stat build. So if you wanted to mutate your first magic and you happen to be a conjurer, you happen to be a savant, or you happen to be a warlock or a paladin, or literally anything that includes magic, then you just cannot get it. And not only that, but it's probably going to take like a decade before he actually even considers putting out that content. So yeah, I just wanted to put out a little video before I go off to college. I thought I was going to make it a lot better, but honestly, I don't think I can be bothered at this point. This game is literally going nowhere, and every time I talk about it, I get more mad. So, bye-bye.